So a new season is on the horizon and a new era for Formula 1. The 2019 pre-season testing got underway, and one of the first teams to break cover and reveal their car was Audi. They announced a brand new driver lineup of Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez. Sainz, as you famously know, quit the Red Bull Junior program after it was clear to him they preferred Giovinazzi, and his words about finding a factory team seem to have come true. And what a seed it is, because Audi have been waiting for this moment all year long. In 2019, V6 hybrids are out, and in comes brand new V8 hybrid technology. When Audi entered the sport, they were very keen on this regulation to go ahead, and now the paddock knows why. At the end of the first week of pre-season, Sainz and Perez topped the timesheets on most days and banked a whopping 700 laps plus, and looked to be the dark horse for the season ahead. The nearest to Audi is really a toss-up between McLaren, Red Bull and Mercedes, with all three teams looking surprisingly super close to one another. McLaren broke cover sporting a new orange livery and showed off their new lineup of Hamilton and Magnussen. Over the winter, it was confirmed Vandoorne and McLaren mutually parted ways after a difficult 2018 season, with Vandoorne wanting a change of scenery after many frustrating strategy mistakes by McLaren. Magnussen was signed back to his former team after he impressed in the Renault last year, and Kevin was happy to return, knowing that Ron Dennis was no longer in charge of the team. After much speculation in the paddock over the winter, Red Bull finally did announce their brand new driver lineup for 2019, being Pierre Gasly and Antonio Giovinazzi. Giovinazzi has finally made the step up to a top team in Formula 1, replacing a departing aarava after a mutual agreement between him and Red Bull to break up their last year of their contract. Giovinazzi, of course, almost got a bit of an audition last year after being in the Red Bull car for one race at the Italian Grand Prix and beating Pierre Gasly that weekend. Red Bull have clearly learned from last year, as their new car looks a lot more streamlined and sleek compared to last year's Challenger, and they'll be hoping they can challenge again for not only the constructors, but finally they're hoping they can get their two drivers together to maybe battle for the Drivers' Championship as well. And with that, Red Bull should be looking quite confident going into 2019, being the reigning world champions for the constructors and having won it twice in a row for the past 2 years. The only negative point in Red Bull's family at the moment is their junior team, Toro Rosso. You may remember last year on many occasions the Toro Rosso ended up being faster than their senior team. There was much pressure on Helmut Marko to simply just do something with Toro Rosso, as from a sponsor standpoint it's not great having the junior team beating the senior team on many occasions. Eventually though, in late December, a shock revelation came that Jaguar were looking to buy out a Formula 1 team and enter the sport once again. After seeing the performances the Toro Rosso engineers were able to extract out of the car and what two good drivers could do in that Toro Rosso car, with Giovinazzi and Sainz winning one race each last year, Jaguar were licking their lips at the prospect of buying out the entire team and their staff and immediately being competitive in Formula 1. And so the deal was struck, with Scuderia Toro Rosso transforming into Jaguar Racing. And soon after, Jaguar made another statement about their return to Formula 1 by signing the 2016 World Champion Stoffel Vandoorne and the double World Champion aarava. This means the two former rivals Vandoorne and aarava will be in the same car and in the same machinery for the 2019 season under the heading of a brand new Jaguar racing team. Jaguar have kept on a lot of the staff and engineers from Toro Rosso, and so it's a familiar place for aarava to be in, of course, after being with the Toro Rosso team for one race at the Italian Grand Prix, indeed a place where he won his first race in 2018, and so has welcomed the change of scenery, but also the face of familiarity. Jaguar say they have a 2-year plan to be fighting for the World Championship, and say they want to try and win at least one race this season. As for their engine, you might be wondering, Jaguar have bought all the assets Toro Rosso had, and so they continue on with Renault engines for one more year, as Toro Rosso had already penned the deal in for 2019. That, coupled with Jaguar not being ready yet to sport their own custom engine yet, they'll be looking to do that in 2020. Mercedes keep their 2018 lineup of Verstappen and Wehrlein after the pair showed great consistency in qualifying at the end of last year. Mercedes definitely had a learning curve last year in 2018 and have come out in 2019 a lot more competitive compared to last year. The paddock though has noted Wehrlein is on thin ice still with the team, and even more so after the very surprising news that Mercedes swooped in and bought out Mick Schumacher's contract from the Ferrari Young Driver Academy, and are funding his seat in Force India now. This means Force India's total lineup is filled with 2 Mercedes young drivers, Esteban Ocon and now Mick Schumacher. Schumacher's agent said the Silver Arrows were very keen on Mick and said he's got a bright future with the Mercedes family, much to the demise of Ferrari. Ferrari's hand was forced then to fill their seat in their junior team at Alfa Romeo, and that meant that finally for Antonio Fuoco, the F1 dream he's been longing for could become a reality as he makes the step up from GP2 and gets reunited with his old junior teammate Leclerc. As for Ferrari themselves, after winning the Drivers' Championship last year and narrowly losing the Constructors, they've had no reason to change their lineup, with Vettel, who now sports the number 1 on his car, and Ricciardo both having 1 year left on their respective contracts. Although it appears to be a shaky start to testing for Ferrari engine cars in general, as once again, like was the case with the beginning of the V6 era, they appear to lack some speed versus other manufacturers. Haas F1, the third and final team to sport a Ferrari engine this season, have their lineup of Romain Grosjean and Sergei Sorokin in action today at Spain. Last year was a testing one for Haas, being their first year in Formula 1 obviously, but they decided to keep on Romain Grosjean after being impressed by his keen analysis of the car during pre-practice sessions. They decided to sign on Sergei Sorokin, who fell out of favour with Audi surprisingly after they learned they could sign both Sainz and Perez, probably one of the most exciting pairings on the grid given the performance of the Audi now. The paddock was pleased to see Sorokin keep a seat in Formula 1 with Haas after impressing somewhat Audi with a lot of good qualifying positions last year. And finally we come to the last factory team on this grid, Renault F1. After losing their key player Magnussen to McLaren at the beginning of this season, they were scratching their head as to who they should sign to partner Nico Hülkenberg. Eventually though, they put faith in their junior driver Louis Delatraz. Renault have kept their heads down this pre-season testing and haven't boasted too much about their lap times, but they're looking to make a firm step up to the top of the midfield this year. And so this brings us to the final team reveal for 2019, Williams, who this year have abandoned Mercedes and have partnered up with Honda to become Williams Honda Racing for 2019. After unveiling this new partnership with Honda, Williams unveiled a brand new livery to commemorate the old partnership Williams had with Honda previously in Formula 1. Williams stick with Valtteri Bottas, with both parties not really having any other major options to go with for their first driver, and as for their second driver, Williams have signed Sergio Camara. The Brazilian, you might remember, was a Red Bull Junior team driver, but was dropped by Red Bull after they started to scale back their junior team program after the sale of Toro Rosso. So there you have it, the class of 2019, in both ways for drivers and the cars, a very different looking Formula 1. And so even with the excessive excitement of 2018, it looks like 2019 might even shape up to be even better. MyDriver 2019 starts with episode number 1 at the USA Grand Prix next week on Friday, hopefully around 7 PM GMT, or probably a little bit later, depending on the crappy YouTube uploading. This has been your special news report. YouTube, sort yourself out, please and thank you. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Let me know what you thought about the 2019 season coming up. Let me know if you are hyped. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for Formula 1. I've completely broken the effect of being a reporter here, so I'll just see you guys next time. Goodbye.